In the 18th century, coffee was more than just a drink, it was a threat. At least that's what Frederick the Great of Prussia believed. He saw coffee as a foreign invasion, a poison to the German spirit, and worst of all, a replacement for beer. So in 1777, Frederick launched an official war on coffee, calling it a drink for weak men. He taxed it, restricted it, and even sent out coffee-sniffing police to enforce his laws. Before coffee arrived, beer was the drink of the people. Germans drank beer morning, noon and night. Even children drank weak beer instead of water. It was seen as nourishing, traditional and essential for strength, especially for soldiers and workers. Then coffee arrived. By the 18th century, coffee houses had begun spreading across Prussia and Central Europe, offering an alternative to alcohol. Workers and soldiers started drinking coffee instead of beer. Intellectuals gathered in cafes instead of taverns. Coffee was seen as a foreign luxury imported from distant lands. For Frederick the Great, this wasn't just a shift in drinking habits, it was a cultural crisis. In 1777, Frederick issued a royal manifesto condemning coffee. He declared that coffee was making men weak and unfit for battle. He insisted that beer was superior, claiming His Majesty was brought up on beer and so were his ancestors. He warned that coffee would lead to a decline of Prussian strength and traditions. But words weren't enough. Frederick took action. To limit coffee consumption, Frederick passed strict laws. Coffee roasting ban. Only the nobility could roast coffee. Common people had to buy it pre-roasted if they could afford it. Heavy taxes on coffee. Import duties made coffee extremely expensive, discouraging its purchase. Coffee sniffers. The king's secret weapon. Special government officials were hired to smell the streets for illegal coffee roasting. If caught, roasters could face harsh fines or confiscation of goods. People weren't happy, but Frederick didn't care. Despite all his efforts, coffee only became more popular. People found ways to smuggle beans, roast them in secret, and bribe officials. Some even disguised their roasting as baking bread, tricking the coffee sniffers. By the time Frederick died in 1786, coffee had become a permanent part of German culture, and ironically today, Germany is one of the biggest coffee drinking nations in the world.